Hey guys, welcome back to According To. I'm Megan.
And I'm Ciera. And for this week's episode, Megan and I thought it'd be fun to do a good old-fashioned advice episode. We typically call these According To Us because this is just our own thoughts according to what we would do in this situation. So the situations that you guys present
We
us.
asked you guys to respond to our Instagram story and or DM us if you had a little bit longer of something that you needed advice on. So that'll be kind of the later portion of this episode where we go through and give you guys advice on anything and everything that you guys sent in.
In the meantime, we will chat about life updates, spotlights, all of the good stuff that's been going on since the last time we recorded. Miraculously, so we're recording on, it's Monday right now. It's such a beautiful day outside. It's like 70 degrees.
My weekly spotlight is just like the weather has like, I don't want to say it's taken a turn because like inevitably
It's going to get a little bit colder.
It's probably going to like switch back to being winter, but it's like so nice right now and it's going to be nice like most of this week.
And what's crazy is
I took someone outside today for
last
one of my
week,
patients.
blizzard. Dangerous road conditions.
Could this be global warming? Maybe.
I don't know. Probably.
But I like when it's warm. I can't control the weather.
You just make the most of what you can.
Yeah.
So beautiful day outside. It was beautiful this weekend. My spotlight, I have a couple, but the first one I'll share is part of my running journey. I ran 10 miles for the first time on Sunday. I actually like time-wise, I think it was like 1:51, which is about where I wanted to be.
It was kind of pretty on par / maybe even slightly better pace than what you have been doing.
Yeah.
Right?
I'd say like my average pacing has typically been like 11:19 or something. That's like a roughly 5.3 mile per hour pace. Is like when I've been running on the treadmill, that's what I've been aiming for. When I did that 10K on the treadmill, I think I tried to run like 5.3 the whole time or something. And so like in my head, that's just kind of like what I've been like, I can do that roughly for like an extended period of time. My average pace was 11:09 for 10 miles. So that was pretty good. And it was a beautiful day. I got a little bit sunburnt actually, like on my like upper chest.
Kind of surprised because I thought your shirt was pretty high.
It is high, like, but I don't know if you can
gotta do some sunscreen
here,
a little bit.
But I like totally. It's like the weird transition where you forget that the sun is out.
Mm-hmm.
And like luckily that's the only place I even like got sun. I wear like face sunscreen every day. And I didn't have to put any on my legs, and like I was wearing a long sleeve otherwise, so could have been worse.
Probably your black long sleeve was drawn in so much sun.
But I went to Grays Lake. That was like my first time. Like I was like, I'm gonna go somewhere because I've been just running around or close by our house, and I just wanted a change of scenery. It was busy. I was not the only one who had the idea to go to Grays Lake. Like it was kind of hard to find parking. And I got a vest for running, and then I got some shoes for running because my last run that I did was like 8 miles. That was like my previous long run, and that's when I was like, I'm starting to feel
Isn't it kind of crazy? And now you can be like, I have run 10 miles. Like, you know?
Yeah. And so, I ran like the first 5 miles pretty much all the way straight. I had to like stop to tie my shoes. Who's surprised?
Oh my God.
But then I double knotted them. I didn't have to tie them again. And then after the 5 miles
with Ciera's laces.
After the first 5 miles, that's when I stopped and like did like, I mean, I drank water kind of throughout, but like mostly like it was like stop, do my chews. They want me to do 8 chews. That's a lot, isn't it?
That's what they recommend.
Yeah. It was like eat. I swear it said eat 8 5 minutes before you start. I didn't do 8 before I started because I was like, I just had breakfast. Like, I think I'm fine. I think I tried one to see what it tasted like. I was like, that's not too bad. And then like every 45 minutes, you're supposed to take 8 is what it says.
Jeez.
Right?
They're just trying to sell them.
I was like, oh my goodness. So I don't know if I took the full 8. I know I took like the rest of what I had in the packet, but I dropped a couple on the ground on accident. So whatever that was. And I mean, my legs are sore today. This is probably like the first time I've been like actually like sore after a run, which like not too bad, you know. My warm-ups have been working then. But yeah, then I did the chews, and then I did the last 5 miles pretty much all the way through. And that was it.
Good stuff. I said my weekly spotlight's the weather. I have really nothing else except for like book updates and stuff.
I have a couple other updates for me. I got a haircut. If you're watching the video version, you can see. It was
Ciera's funny when she gets her haircuts because, like, with her preference of, like, what length she prefers her hair at, which is basically, like, it is a lob, essentially. Like, I would say that's lob category. But she goes, I swear, longer than I do between haircuts.
Yeah, I really do need to get better. Like, every 2 months is when I should be going.
Why don't you just schedule? Like, my life got better when I started just pre-scheduling my haircuts out.
I should.
There's no,
like, don't.
I just know when it's going to be. And just about any other aspect of my life, I like to just schedule it when I want to schedule it. Haircuts, I've decided that's not the move. Because then I just want one, and then, like, I'd always be, like, changing basically, like, who I was going to, like, get my hair done with. Because, surprise, surprise,
like,
they can't get me in. So, since I've been scheduling stuff out since we moved back to Des Moines, it's just been, like, a weight off my shoulders.
Well, I will try to consider that next time, but I don't have anything scheduled.
They don't just, like, convince you to do it when you're leaving?
No. She's like, you just DM me or something. We'll get something set up. And I'm like, yeah. And also, so I got, like, I think it was, like, 3 or 4 inches cut. My hair also, I feel like, grows insanely fast because I got it cut in October. And that's only, like, 5 months. It should not be growing that much in 5 months.
It's like half an inch a month.
4 inches in 5 months.
Oh. I got my math wrong.
So, I mean, I'm sure it's, like, a problem people would love to have because everyone, like, you know, wants the hair to grow faster. I'm like, can you slow down? My goodness. And you do more heat damage to it or something. Also, that made me realize I styled it for the first time after I showered yesterday. And it styles so much faster. Like, I can actually, like, get it, like, fully dry between rounds. And, like, it took me, like, less than, like, 20 minutes, I swear, to, like, style it.
I feel like that's how long it takes me to style my hair.
See, I don't know how you do it.
You got to get it, like, really dry first. Which I have a really good hair dryer now. My Shark Speed Style. That thing is... You should try it if you haven't tried it before.
I feel like I did try it because you said, like, how fast it worked. And I was like, eh.
For blow drying?
Yeah.
Really, I think it works so well.
I didn't notice it being, like,
at least,
significantly
like,
faster for me.
I have, like, a lot more hair, so maybe, like, that's where I notice more of the difference in, like, the time it takes just to, like, dry my hair X amount of time.
Maybe.
What else? I just have book updates.
My boyfriend met my grandma over the weekend. That was the first time she got to meet him. The long anticipated
It's been, like, just
meeting.
She hasn't believed her. I'm kidding. She has, but it's just like...
Could you imagine? She's like, I'll believe it when I see it. Yeah, came over for brunch. It was our mom's birthday on Sunday, and so...
It was, you know what, my coworkers and I were talking about, like,
everyone's birthday was on Sunday?
Everyone's birthday. And, like, my coworkers was like, I had, like, 10 Facebook friends that, like, had birthdays yesterday. How much of the world's population was born on March 9th? Because, like...
You should look up the most popular birthday.
It's probably not March 9th.
Probably not.
But, like, every year, I think I, like, remember... I forget how many people have a birthday today until it comes around.
3 PT school classmates, our mom, our aunt, our, like, family friend.
Just a lot of people. That's so many people. Let's look it up. Most popular birthday.
Otherwise, that was about it. Looking forward to a beautiful week with beautiful weather.
September 9th is the most popular birthday.
We're close to that. We could have been September 9th. I actually don't know what our due date was.
Like a month later, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Book update time.
I've been going crazy. I continue to go crazy.
With your books?
I've read 14 books this year.
That's good.
Not even in the top 10 birthdays. September is literally 9 of the top 10 birthdays. So
people go crazy at New Year's, I guess.
I guess, yeah. Okay.
Book update.
So since we last spoke, I have finished reading 2 books that I'm guessing. I would have had to, really? I think.
I mean, you read One Dark Window.
I read One Dark Window in 2 days. 1-2.
A little 1-2 punch.
Little 1-2 punch. I know, it's kind of like, it could have been like it wasn't within 24 hours. It was more than that. Okay, I've finished reading The X-Files by Jessica Joyce. I think last week I had mentioned it was kind of giving me Happy Place vibes. I gave it a 4-star review. It wasn't anything like that that's gonna linger with me for any period of time. It was very just like, it wasn't bad, but it's not gonna stick with me. It was a good typical contemporary romance. It didn't necessarily make me want to bump up like You with a View is another one of her books. It didn't really make me want to like bump that up on my list or anything, but it's an option that I'll keep in mind. And then I read our in-person book club book because I figured I should get going on
This is the book that I
our...
read in the past week.
This is the one that I figured I should, jump into now that we have 2 book club books a month. That's 24 books a year. That's just like, I have to read these, but it's fine. I knew that going into establishing the virtual book club. And I started on Saturday, finished it on Sunday. Although I did do quite a bit of reading on Sunday, but it was a good book. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars, but like a heightened 4 stars. Like I'm intrigued to see where it's going.
I also gave it 4 stars. This is interesting because going before reading this book, I knew it was like hit or miss for a lot of people.
That's what I thought too. I kind of am surprised.
Surprises me.
I
now
agree.
Having read it.
Although, to be fair, the first day I was reading it, I was picking bad times to read, and I was like half asleep as I was going to read this book. So like the first 77 pages, I was maybe like 50% with it, okay? So when I was telling Ciera kind of where I was at in the book, I felt like I knew like the major, like I know the main plot points, but like how I've been kind of falling asleep while I've been reading, yes. And then she was asking me like, well, has this happened yet? And I was kind of like, well, don't say too much because like that's not really sounding very familiar to me. And it's like, it's not like an end all be all like plot point, but like it's a significant enough plot point in the beginning of the book for you to like understand and make sense of like the future things. And I was like, that's not really sounding familiar, so like shh, don't say too much. And then to kind of kickstart my Sunday reading, I listened to some of the audiobook when I was taking Vegas on a walk, and it was starting to like refer back to something that had happened, and I was like, this must have been what Ciera was talking about. And I didn't know that I read this already. I didn't know this was a thing that happened. So I ended up I used ChatGPT to be like, give me the summary breakdown of like the first 6 chapters of this book to like help me out a little bit. And that kind of helped a little bit. I got, the gist of it just by forging ahead and continuing. But then I was awake for the rest of the book and I enjoyed it a lot. And I would say...
pretty crazy ending, I think.
I would say like kind of crazy, but I also kind of feel like I'm satisfied because I can see how hopefully this, I'm hoping, can wrap up nicely with like the duology with the second book. But yeah, I would recommend it if you guys are curious about it. And I'm hoping
my fear
that our book club I'm hoping that our book club people will like it.
My fear is that like have we ever had a 100% completion rate on a book? We'd have to have that to justify even recommending the second book.
I know. We'll see. If not, then we'll do it on our own.
Yeah.
And then we are both now reading. Have you started it? No, you're
I'm
reading
Funny Story.
Correct.
Now.
Do you have any initial thoughts on that?
I like it. It honestly, in some ways, is reminding me of Beach Read. Like he's helping her out, kind of like he doesn't call them dates, but like, he's like, I'm going to show you around the town so you don't leave.
And then it's funny because like Ciera's such a big Emily Henry fan. We talked about this last week and it's just crazy. It's out in paperback now and this is your first time reading it.
I read the first chapter and then I was like, it's not the time for it. Like I know I'm like not in the headspace for it. I don't know if I was like in a fantasy mood or what, but I feel like I'm in a good headspace for it. Ready to dive in. I'm enjoying it. And then I'm planning on starting Bright Young Woman after this one.
Yeah, I just started that one today. When I was at the gym, I was reading it during my treadmill walk. And to be honest, it's almost kind of like, it's just strange timing because like I feel like just recently there's been a little bit more coming out from like the Brian Koberger case. So it almost like just feels like when I've been reading the first chapter especially,
like you're thinking
like
of that?
I'm thinking of that because I can just see how they're similar in the sense that like it's following the main, like the first chapter is following like a sorority I don't know if the correct word is like captain, or she's like a leader in the sorority house.
President?
And it's like, probably. And it's like talking about like the incident like that night and kind of like what she's thinking is going on, and how it's like they're so far like kind of downplaying the severity of what they think is going on, and they're thinking like, oh, these people are hurt, but like, you know, I'll be able to go see them in the hospital. We have this like thing at 9:00 with alumni that I hope this can all get like cleared up and like wrapped up by then. And it's like they have no idea the extent to like what it was that happened at that point. And I don't know if you looked at like any of like the texts that have kind of come out since that. And it's just like really, I just am like constantly thinking of like one and the other as I'm reading the first chapter anyways. So yeah, it's good so far. We'll kind of see. It's got long chapters.
Oh.
But like, okay, here's the thing. It's technically broken up in like chapters by like a name, but then it has like sub chapters of like different dates and stuff, or like times. Okay. So there are some stopping points, but like in the Fable app, it goes by the long chapter. Okay. So like I can't really like debrief and share anything until I finish that full first chapter, which is like almost an hour.
It'll be a good book club discussion pick.
I think so. I think it's got good potential for that. So that's our book club pick of the month. If you wanted to join, link is down below.
Podcast.
So,
okay,
there we have it. Anything else?
Methinks not.
Okay. Do you want to start in the DMs or?
I'll start in the DMs. Okay. Someone wants advice on making friends in college. I know you guys have said you struggled with this, but made some good friends in grad school. Can you talk about anything specific that you did? This is very true, because Megan and I made little to no friends in undergrad.
But we had a good solid friend group in PT school.
Yeah.
Like it was a group where I felt like, okay, this is our collective group, which like, is that good or bad? I don't know. Cause like I would say our PT school was like kind of cliquey a little bit, but like also like everyone did get along.
Of what,
you just kind of had like the people who like, this was the bunch that kind of hung out together. This was the bunch that hung out together, but everyone really did get along well. It wasn't like rude cliquey.
I think that for me, what I always have to have typically before I like will pursue or establish a friendship with someone is like I have to have like a friend crush on someone. You know what I mean? Like in whatever class, or like in our case for PT school, I was like, I could see myself being friends with you. I like you.
I remember
I could see myself being friends with
PT school also kind of gave the opportunity to like in lab specifically, there'd be situations where maybe like I would be partnered with someone. And that kind of give you like a bit of a feel for like, do I feel like I'm vibing with this person or not? That like you do have labs in undergrad sometimes, but you're just not always going to click with people. And so I remember one of our friends, Morgan, actually, she's getting married coming up here soon. We're actually bridesmaids in her wedding. So, I remember being, I don't know what class it was, but I remember being partners with her probably in like a couple different classes. Cause like, that's just the nature of PT school. You're kind of partners with everyone at some point probably. But I just remember being like, I think we'd get along.
I like you.
And I don't know that's anything specific, but I know that I feel a lot more comfortable like putting myself more out there as like someone who's like trying to bridge the gap closer to like a friendship. If I know I'm like, I really feel like good about, you know, this person and just like how we're talking and conversing in class. And then I'm trying to think of like,
I know that when like she hosted like bachelorette or bachelor nights.
I was just gonna say in PT
and that was like
school,
with a lot of people too.
In PT school, it was kind of nice because like there's a lot of people that did go to Iowa, but there's also a lot of people that like hadn't gone there, and so everyone is kind of trying to like get to know each other a little bit, and people are like seeking each other out, which is also helpful because then you're like, I'm not the only one trying to like make friends here. It's like everyone's in the same boat, and so that was good to like kind of break the barrier between like, okay, we've seen each other and hung out in class, but then like there was quite a few girls that like we went and had like, and Ciera and I are not, this is a good tip. Ciera and I really don't care about The Bachelorette at all. Like I could care less. I'm not really like a big reality.
I wasn't watching it.
I'm just not like a big reality TV show person, but Ciera and I did opt to go to these little hangouts because we figured it's an invite. Let's go and meet people and interact and hopefully make some friends. So even if you're doing things that you maybe don't want to do, it could be just a good segue and like show good faith that like even if you're not interested in what it is they're doing, you're interested in the people there.
Even like for book club, like I mean everyone reads at some point a little bit, but like not everyone in our book club gets every book done every time.
Yeah.
But they still come because they're like, I just
They're always like
out.
they're very enthusiastic about reading, but also like they're not the most avid readers.
I think that for undergrad specifically, like figuring out whether it's like someone in a club or someone in a class or like someone that lives in your dorm or something, like having that friend crush, because I feel like you have to be like who do I want to be friends with? You know, you can't just like, to me at least, I've never been able to just be like, I need to find a friend. Like I feel like I find people and I'm like, I would like to be your friend.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. If it's a class, see if you can like sit next to them where it would make sense, become like partners with them if that's the kind of class it is. And then like if you're ever studying for tests, like ask to study with them. I feel like that's the easiest way to like bridge the gap between like being a classmate with someone and then like,
or even like
learning more
maybe
about them.
like, because again, like as low stakes as you can make it or like as easy for them to say yes as possible is also probably like going to be ideal. So maybe you're saying like, if you kind of feel like you're getting along well in the class, be like, oh, do you have like a gap between like this and your next class? Would you want to like
go get
food?
Something.
If you live in the same dorm or like if it's lunchtime, easy segue. That would be a good idea as well, I feel.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it's the hardest part is like starting and like establishing like the break from routine.
And then you can kind of like, you'll be able to gauge like whether or not, are you still interested in, you know, kind of pursuing a friendship with them? Do they feel like they're not really putting in the same amount of effort versus yourself? And go from there. Sorry, I did have it open and then it closed out, so give me one moment.
I have one. If you...
Okay, go ahead.
Someone said my work, and they said I'm an outpatient physical therapist. Recently put me on for 30 hours a week. I was previously working 40 hours. This is because our patient caseload is low. My manager said it's semi-permanent, meaning it's temporary until the caseload builds back up. I'm okay financially as of now. Should I write out the 30 hours a week and enjoy having the lighter load and focus on building up my current caseload for a little bit and see how it goes, or should I start applying to a PRN job on my day off? I mean, I would personally, I think it doesn't hurt to have a PRN job.
You could always pocket. The beauty of a PRN job is it's like it is totally up to you. So like even if you were to get a PRN job now and then like all of a sudden, I feel like the pro is right now you have the time to apply for and get a PRN job knowing you're only working the lower caseload. So you have the time to apply. If they have an interview, then you have the days and hours available to be able to do that. Like it's hard. It's hard to do PRN stuff and get the applications and stuff when you're working full-time hours. So I think it'd be a good opportunity to do that, and then you have it there as an option.
Personally, I also think since you said you're outpatient and like there's not a lot of PRN like outpatient positions, like look into acute care, look into inpatient rehab or SNF, and then it also like allows you to kind of like diversify your skills if that's something you're interested in. And then like if there's a week where like let's say you're working 30 hours and you have a day off and you're like, I don't want to pick up this week. You don't have to.
That's the beauty of it.
But then totally if you, up to you decide you want to pick up, and then you could even pick up on the weekend. Like it's just, it fluctuates.
Because for my previous job, I did typically have like lighter hours, just kind of like were the norm for my like previous job. And so when I was getting like a PRN position, I wasn't like telling my company that I was like going and getting a PRN position because like that's not really their business. But I like there was a couple times where it's like my PRN position wanted me to like come in and like do like an interview at like 8 a.m. on like a regular work day, which like I don't have set hours I needed to be into work, but it was just kind of like, okay, yeah, like I will so be there and like I'll make it happen. But like then I had to get in later to work that day. And granted, like my caseload I don't think was super heavy anyway, so it's not like I was staying later per se, but it's just like I had to be a little bit more strategic about how to fit it all in to one day.
I think also, and like it's totally normal for like therapists to have PRN jobs. I can think of like a lot of my coworkers have PRN jobs. I would like ask about if they have any sort of requirements. The PRN job that I have has like an 8-hour a month requirement, which I usually just fulfill like one weekend day a month. But Megan's technically still PRN and has no requirements. Hasn't worked there for
I haven't
months.
worked there since November, and they haven't reached out to me either. So
there's different places that have different requirements.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But yeah, I think having one in your back pocket's kind of nice.
My first question, there was actually like the first couple kind of similar thing. One person was asking about working out for beginners, can't find the motivation or sticking to it. And then someone else kind of was like how to be disciplined. So I thought like, you know, one's workout specific and then one's just kind of more generic. If you're working out and you're like just kind of getting started, I feel like the biggest thing is you need to find what it is that's going to be something you can stick with. And so whatever that is for you, whatever intensity level that is, whatever specific type of workout that is, you kind of need to flesh out a little bit. Because if you pick a workout just because you feel like this is quote unquote a good workout, this is what everyone does when they're working out, but you hate it, like you're just probably not going to stick with it. So I would recommend you try a variety of things out initially and kind of start picking apart what it is you like about a workout versus what you don't like.
Do you like classes? Do you like being
like,
on
are
your
you
own?
someone?
Would you want a personal trainer?
Because I personally, I kind of have different mixed opinions on workout classes. Sometimes I like them.
I feel like I like the idea of them.
I think I like the idea of a workout class, but at the end of the day, like I
just want myself.
Just kind of want to be able to go at my own pace and come up with what I want to do.
And like Megan and I are fortunate enough where like we have like the knowledge and the background of like knowing what to do when we're working out. So we don't feel like we need.
Granted, oh my god,
extra.
I just went back and watched one of our college vlogs. This was our freshman year, and I thought I had knowledge because like we did do a lifting class in high school, but like that was not enough, obviously, because I thought we're going to a squat rack and we know what we're doing and look at us go. And oh my god, our squat form was actually horrendous. Like I want to like blur that part of the video out because it's just embarrassing now. But you live and you learn. Just horrendous form in the squat rack, but you can only go up, okay? And there's lots of creators and videos to try and help fix your form, and it just kind of takes practice, honestly, sometimes, if lifting is the route you want to go.
I think personally what works for not just working out, but, you know, getting everything done that we need to get done. I am such a to-do list person. Like I have a constant to-do list that's just like been in my notes on my phone for years at this point, where like every day, if I have a work that I want to do, I write my workout down, or like not my workout, but like I need to work out. Mm-hmm. Like that's just how I tend to hold myself accountable, because like I wouldn't say I'm forgetful necessarily, but like I will like more likely forget something if it's not written down than if I like look at my list and be like, oh yeah, I have to do that today.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been helpful for me.
I think another thing too is kind of like you have to, it's kind of like a give and take, because I was going to say, obviously you can like structure your day however you feel like is going to best help you to like be successful with, you know, getting a workout in, for example. And so if you're not a morning workout person or an early riser, then like maybe don't plan on being a morning workout person. But also, like I wouldn't say I'm a morning person per se, yet I get up, you know, 2 or 3 days a week to try and get myself to go to the gym. You have to sometimes like think about, you're going to be happier after the fact. Like you have this as like, I'm planning on doing this today. And I let myself kind of like sit with it, and like I'm planning on like today's a workout day, okay? And I have like plan A is maybe me going and working out in the morning. And I try to do that like 80 to 90% of the time. But sometimes I wake up, I'm tired, it's not going to happen. So, okay, then I have to kind of like chat with myself and be like, okay, if I don't do it now, then like I will be going to the gym after work today and like getting it done, and just remaining disciplined in doing that. Maybe to you, you're not necessarily going to the gym. Maybe it's you going for a walk, going for a run, doing an online YouTube workout, whatever it may be for you. I just feel like you're going to thank yourself later. And also like half the time, especially on like a weekend, for example, like for my weekend workouts, because I usually do at least one weekend workout, it's like literally what better thing am I doing? What else am I doing? So half the time I just kind of have to be like, you're doing almost nothing at all today. The least you could do is go to the gym for like 45 minutes to an hour. Mm-hmm. That's usually enough for me to eventually get myself there. Doesn't necessarily happen first thing in the morning, but I get there.
You get there. I would also say if you are new to working out, like set realistic goals and expectations. Don't say like I'm gonna be at the gym for an hour and a half and like
Oh
do
God,
X,
45
Y, and Z.
minutes, you're good.
Like Megan and I used to be, and I mean, an hour is a very normal amount of time to work out. I'm not trying to like say you don't need to work out for an hour, but Megan and I used to like hold ourselves to the standard of like we have to work out for an hour, and then I was like, I don't have anything else to do. I don't
45
like,
minutes is good. And also that includes me doing like a 5-minute walk on the treadmill and sometimes like 5 to 10 minutes of like a little stretch it out at the end.
Now, keep in mind, Megan and I don't have any significant goals. Like we are basically just like trying to like maintain our current level of fitness. If you have goals that you would like to work towards, then you may have to like adjust, you know, intensity, how long you're working out, like be a little bit more intentional and more specific. We do have the luxury of kind of like playing things by ear because we don't have specific goals.
Switching away from working out specifically and just kind of talking about, you know, discipline in general. I do have to say, like, especially in school, like, I was a list girl. I'm not so much of a list person now, but like that was how I functioned and kind of made sure I got things done that I needed to get done. I also feel like time blocking was a huge thing for us in PT school because, yes, I agree, there's only so many hours in a day. And sometimes you have to be like, these are the things that need to get done. And this is the time that I have to get it done. So like, here's literally how I'm going to make it work. And sometimes you don't maybe get things done to the degree that you were hoping you got them done, but you fit it in the best you could. And sometimes that's all you can do because there's only so many hours in a day.
This is kind of related to like timing and stuff. Someone said how to balance working a job and pursuing content creation. I don't know what kind of content creation they're looking to pursue. I would say Megan and I at this point have a pretty set routine in terms of like, luckily, if we like podcasting is pretty much always like a Monday thing now in terms of like this type of content creation. We got Vegas at daycare. Like we've got this pretty set in stone. Like fun Mondays are podcast day. Sometimes Sunday if we're feeling like we want to be ahead of schedule. As far as like the type of content that we produce is luckily like a lot of like lifestyle vlogging content. And so sometimes it's just keeping in mind if we're vlogging, like, you know, pull the camera out, we're doing what we're doing anyways. So that's kind of a luxury that not
and
all
then
content
usually
creators have.
Like we also have the luxury of like we do this together. So we can kind of divvy up like the workload stuff. So we switch up who's editing and who's vlogging. And if you're doing it all yourself, then that's just going to take more time from you personally. But we, again, kind of have like a schedule of like, okay, if we're doing a vlog, then like by the end of the week, kind of Thursday, Friday, usually whoever's editing is editing the video and getting it all situated to go up on the weekend. And then I would say content planning is kind of like sporadic for us.
Ideally, it would be like a once a month thing. We're not on a good high right now. We're kind of like flying by the seat of our pants.
But we do the best we can. And then I would say if you're kind of doing this on your own, you're probably going to want to get into like maybe like a weekly schedule where like I'm envisioning on like Sunday, you're kind of like a content calendar is also like a really good, amazing, incredible idea.
Helpful. We've had ours for like 5 years now.
Yeah. Funny enough, we actually like got the one we're using from like when we did a Skillshare sponsored thing, and we're still using it. There's probably free templates you could find out there, but like ours is literally like on Google Sheets, and it has a calendar template, and you can color code it and have like just a visual good organization of like, this is the content that I need to go up this day, and it helps you like look ahead to just get things planned out. So I would say like anticipate, you know, knowing how X number of like I want this much content to go up this week. So then you can kind of start building out the days and times that you have available to like do the content creation.
A lot of content creation production is like backtracking to figure out when you want stuff to go live, what do you need to do or what steps do you need to take before then to make sure that happens.
And so if you're someone who's like doing things where it's kind of like you're not vlogging per se, but you're just having to like kind of sit down and like do the content, I feel like that's usually like a little bit easier. But if you're doing like day in the life stuff and you're like, okay, it's day of, I'm supposed to post this TikTok. Oh, I forgot to like literally record a day in the life thing. So it just takes like a second to like step back and have a little bit more forethought of like, this is the stuff I'm planning on posting this week. And allowing yourself like the time to edit it and get it posted and that sort of thing.
if you are someone who sounds like is working a regular job, I mean, unfortunately, it's just like that time blocking. Like you have to allocate things maybe differently. If you had more downtime, you're gonna have less downtime, so that you can allocate that time to like your content creation. Or if you like, you're like, how do I like I'm working out, like maybe you have
or
to
maybe
work out
you're
a little bit
someone that
less,
like
or, I don't know.
maybe you kind of bulk stuff into saying like, okay, I have a lot more time on the weekends and a lot more energy on the weekends than I do on like a weekend evening. Maybe I'm gonna like do a weekday evening. Then maybe I'm gonna do a bunch of stuff then, and that way it's just like gonna be ready to go as I'm posting throughout the week, and you don't really have to worry about it. That could be another strategy, as well as, I mean, I'm someone who like I start work at like 8 usually, so like, and I usually work out or have like a slow morning. But you could also like, if you're maybe gonna be more productive in the morning, you could always try fitting some stuff in before work as well, if you're so inclined. Because sometimes after work, like I must admit, like you just don't want to go and do more quote unquote work, even if it's content creation. So
I think those were like a lot of the longer DMs that we got.
I forgot I wasn't ready.
I'll join you in the story archive.
I'm sorry on the bottom, by the way.
Okay, I'll go to the top.
How to go about buying a house? Oh, this is a great question. I'm so glad I have my mom to like literally walk me through being an adult. I would say the biggest thing is like getting pre-approved is probably like the hardest like hurdle to the process, because then once you do that, like you've been pre-approved. So now like you kind of have just like a little bit more, like you can go look at houses, you know what you're approved for. You can be more on top of it with your realtor in terms of like, okay, let's put an offer in on this house. That was like the biggest hurdle, I would say. And really like, it wasn't a hard thing to do to get pre-approved. It was more so like the initiating and starting like the getting a pre-approved process. Like I just remember the biggest thing, and this was not that hard to do. Okay. Like it really, in my mind, I was like expecting it to be harder than it was. When Ciera and I had transitioned from like looking at apartments to like kind of saying, I think we want to like buy a house. We initially, our dad had like a friend of his that we went through at first. I don't know if she was a realtor or what, honestly, but I don't remember entirely what she did or did not help us with. I think she helped. I'm gonna stop talking about this person because I don't remember what she did or did not do. But like I'm saying, like we definitely leaned on our parents a lot to like help get us going in the right direction, because like I didn't know what I was supposed to do. And so I feel like try to reach out to people that you know. Like you probably know people who are realtors. We ended up using Maggie's mom as our realtor. And then we got pre-approved through a credit union.
Like for better or for worse,
like,
and this is going to sound so bad, but like we leaned on a lot of people, and I was like, I have the financial means to do this. Tell me like what I need to do.
Yeah.
Because I have no idea.
So we got pre-approved. We kind of knew what our budget was that we were working with. And then once you do that, Zillow away and go see a bunch of houses and see what you like and don't like. As far as like
actually like landing on a house, I do think like don't land on one that you're not totally like set on, or like don't have your heart in. Because I think there were a couple times where Megan and I were like, I guess we could put an offer on this house.
We were really like, it was like a rough go around at first. Like I almost wish we would have been doing like a little house hunters like
we should
series. Why did we not? I don't know.
I feel like we like didn't know for sure if it was gonna happen. Yeah. Granted, we could have taken the videos anyways.
But like there were some houses that we were looking at where it's like they really like, there were good things about some of them. Like there are good things about all of them, but like then all of them until I feel like we found this house and the one before that we also put an offer in, it would like they'd be really good, and then like there'd be something really strange about it too. Like I'd be like, it's all great except for like
I love the kitchen and like the living room, but then why are there like 3 split levels?
Yeah, it'd be strange, but I'd be like, I could look past this, I think, because like we were struggling with finding stuff that we felt good about. So you
wait to find something that your like heart is set on, or like you have like a game plan for like the change that you can make to like make it something your heart is sold on. And that's just a game of trying to hope you can get your offer to beat the other offers. Yeah. And I totally just trusted our realtor on that stuff. Someone said not being scared of dating, specifically Hinge, and they have like the little emoji like eye covered. I mean, I'm dating my boyfriend from Hinge, so we're a Hinge success story right now. I mean, I feel like you never have to be like scared of dating apps. You can be like defeated.
Defeated is a good word. That's a good description.
You don't need to be afraid of it. It's just an app.
I feel like it's okay to feel defeated, but don't be fearful. Try your best to, I feel like you can't be scared, or you're scared because you don't know something about someone, or like it's a stranger. So try to make them as little of a stranger as possible beforehand.
Google them.
I reverse image search people. Like, I've found some decent websites.
Before I even matched with people, I was like, I'm going to find out everything I can about you before I say yes or no, because I don't know yet. I don't know anything about you.
So, put a detective hat on, do your digging.
You can find a lot.
And usually you have pretty good luck.
You get a first name, a location, a college, a job, you're set.
You're golden.
You can find them anywhere. Sometimes you gotta get creative.
Yes. Don't be scared though.
And
do
also
the classic typical like safety things for dates.
Yeah.
Go somewhere public. Let
someone
know where you're at.
The other thing you need to do is like realize that you cannot physically put more people on Hinge than there are. You know what I mean? Like if you go through your whole list and like no one's met your standards, like no one's met your criteria, like you can't make someone be there who's not there. So maybe your person's just not on there yet. Maybe your person's not on Hinge. We don't know.
I always like to think that like they'll join in like a week. they're not on yet.
They'll be on next week.
But like I promise they're just about ready to set up their profile.
That's funny.
Because I'm like, every time I'm like, should I delete my account?
You're like, no.
I'm kind of like,
he'll be on next week.
They'll be on shortly enough.
Surely. 1 week he'll be here. That's funny.
Okay. I think that was... No, it's my turn again. What is reasonable to expect bridesmaids to spend money on for a wedding? This is a good question. We are bridesmaids.
We've only been... This is our second wedding being bridesmaids. For Haley's wedding, we bought our bridesmaids
but we were
dresses.
kind of like honorary bridesmaids for another one. Like we got at least to go on a bachelorette trip.
Yeah. I would say typically you're expected to buy your own dress. If you do hair or makeup, typically at the weddings that we've been to, they have like said you can choose to do it or not do it. I don't know if some brides would require it, but we have had to pay if we opted to do it. So like Haley's wedding, we paid for our hair and makeup. This wedding, I'm opting to not because I'm I just didn't particularly like how I looked following like the hair and makeup at Haley's wedding.
I feel like you just kind of tend to know what you like unless you're the bride who had done like a hair and makeup trial. Like these people are just kind of doing like copy and paste of what they typically do. So I'm also opting to do my own hair and makeup for this wedding. For Haley's, I want to say, do you remember how much we paid individually? No. I'm guessing like for hair and makeup, like it was probably like $150 is my guess.
Yeah, that's my guess.
And then like another $100 for our bridesmaids dresses that we did. And then since we were the maid of honors for Haley's wedding, thank God Haley didn't do like a traveling bachelorette trip. Okay. So like it was less planning on my part, but like, myself, I made Ciera chip in, and then also like our mom helped with setting stuff up too. And I think purchasing a few decoration things, like that was out of our pocket. I didn't go like crazy. I wasn't going to break the bank for like the decor and stuff, but it was like, I don't know, another $50 to $100 for stuff like that.
Typically
just miscellaneous
like
things.
Trips and stuff, you're going to like be paying for.
It's also like at that point, that's totally up to like who can go. And you should not feel bad as a bridesmaid to like say I can't do that. I can't.
Like when we went to, again, we weren't even in this person's wedding,
but I was like, I'm going.
Trip. I was like, I want to go to San Diego.
Right. So I was totally like down to do that, and like we were able to get affordable flights, and with the hotel being split amongst as many people as it was, like it ended up being reasonable. I wasn't like, oh my God, there's no way it's this much.
Otherwise, I mean, shoes typically, like, you can wear if it's like I've just reworn shoes that I already have. As long
I feel
as it's
like
been within the right colorway.
as a bridesmaid, I would expect to pay probably like $300-ish for my participation in the wedding, like probably at least. And that's like, as a bride, that's kind of like where my expectation would be at. But then like it could certainly be more, but I wouldn't say the bridesmaid is like 100% on the hook for making
I think the
everything
trip is
work.
the biggest question mark.
Yeah.
We don't know what type of trip they'd be going on. Some can be very affordable.
And
some people don't even
some
go on
people
trips.
are like, some people like want to go on the trip and like it's just like a fun time, a good excuse to like go on vacation. But there's also like some bridesmaids where it's like they're really only going because like it's kind of the expectation and like they would maybe rather not. So I think you just have to kind of feel out like what's the vibe and who's all like excited and wanting to go versus like who's not. That's why like I personally, and I don't know if I would do like a like trip or just something more local, but like I'm keeping my bridal party like intimate. Like literally it might just be Haley, Maggie, and Ciera because like I just don't like having like a million people to worry about. And I think the more people you kind of like get involved in bridal party stuff, like it just gets to be a lot. So
Next
hopefully
one.
that was helpful.
Someone was like, leggings, question mark. I gotta say, my current fave leggings are the All in Motion leggings from Target.
They're a steal of a deal. Like
Steal of the century.
$25 for a really good fitting legging. I would size down if you want more compression, which I personally like. But they're the everyday soft legging. They are pretty high waisted. Like they're probably a little bit higher waisted than
Like
even
they go
like an
above my
Align.
waist.
But I think the fabric's nice. I think they hold up nice in the wash. They're not sheer, and they've got quite a few color options. They have ones with pockets, but like I'm not personally like a pocket legging gal, so I can't speak to those. But I know they have like a variety of options. They've got lots of like matching tops now too. Love them. I have also recently gotten some Viore leggings, and I like the different like drawstring option. I just wore them this morning actually. They're expensive. I don't know if I'd pay my own money for them just like on their own, but I have like a store credit that I could use. But they're nice. Of course, I'm a Lululemon gal, and I love their leggings as well, but I've become less like
we don't
beholden
need
to
it,
them.
you know.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna wear them because I have quite a few. But like I haven't bought a new pair
and
in a
then
while.
Aerie also, if you get the ones specifically with like the compressed waistband, then I like those more than just like their typical offline leggings that I can't remember what they're called. Because again, their leggings I feel like sometimes aren't compressing as much as I would like them to.
Mm-hmm.
So I have ones that have like the compressive specific waistband. Those I like, but I kind of like the Target ones more than those even now. So let me find another one. How did we pick what setting we wanted to work in?
I've known from the time that I was shadowing in undergrad that I wanted to do inpatient rehab, or like SNF is kind of like it's not inpatient rehab, but it's adjacent to inpatient rehab. Like I always knew that I wanted to do like the type of therapy that like helps people get like regain their independence and like get back to home or something like that. I've never been particularly like I want to cure your pain or whatever. Like I'm not super into that.
I think that like, so I was never super big on like outpatient ortho. I was kind of like, it's always an option, but I was never like, this is like 100% what I see myself doing. I was always kind of like Ciera said, leaning towards either acute care or inpatient rehab type of setting, or like outpatient neuro was kind of something where I was like, this could theoretically like be something that I'd be more interested in. But like, that's kind of a niche setting that's just like not as widely accessible of a position either. You can like kind of build your practice into that in an outpatient setting, but like you're nonetheless going to like also get outpatient ortho people most likely until you really
unless you
niche
could
yourself
you
in.
work at Physical. Remember that one place that
It's no longer a thing.
Oh really?
They closed.
Oh, I didn't know that. The whole thing, the whole company closed, or just the one in Des Moines?
I don't know. The one in Des Moines for sure.
Well, they were outpatient neuro specifically.
and not an option anymore. Anyways, so that's kind of like something where it's like, okay, I wasn't really finding like opportunities to even like keep that super high on my list, but like it would still be something that like maybe eventually, like if the opportunity were to arise, that I would look into something like that. So with less availability in that situation, that kind of led me back to looking more like the inpatient rehab.
Is this advice, or are they just asking us a question?
How do you pick a setting?
Okay.
So I guess like instead of sharing my story, how about like I give you tips for how to, I think
I'm like, wait, I thought this was an advice episode.
there's different things that I
have to shadow
would
everything.
consider. Shadow a lot of different things, like just even before you even get to PT school, like there's many different settings. What do you see yourself working in? And then like the truth of the matter is, what I don't think you realize until you're in it and like working or in school, like you don't know what all you really even want to consider about like your work-life balance prior to that. So like what I mean by that is when you're shadowing, you're kind of like, this is like how I felt anyways about it. It's like, oh, maybe I like outpatient ortho because, you know, this is like the people just come in, they're independent. I'm helping them like fix their pain.
Like no major like medical scaries.
Like I like all of that. That sounds good to go for me. This is what I'm going to keep doing. But then once you're in school, maybe you're like doing, you know, during my outpatient clinical rotations, it's like I'm literally, unless there's like cancellations or whatever else have you, there's, you know, 10 to 12 patients I'm seeing for 40-minute slots for the entirety of the day, except for my 1 hour lunch break that I'm also probably like doing all my notes at or doing all my notes during. And then like that's the entirety of my day. And then I'm someone who outpatient ortho stuff isn't as intuitive to me as maybe it is for like some other people. So like the mental workload that then like I'd be doing to try and like prep for, and granted, like I understand I was in school, like there's many things to learn.
Second nature the more you're doing it.
But it's like I would then feel like I was going and like I'd be copying my schedule down with the patients I was seeing the next day to then like have an idea and a plan of like what I wanted to do with them for the next day, and I'd be doing that outside of like the work hours for like in preparation of the next day.
And again, we're students, like it's not
I understand
you have
like
to do.
You know, a PT's not necessarily doing that every day after work. Like what am I doing with my patients the next day? But I was just like, this is like taking a lot more of like my mental capacity than I would like it to. So that was another thing that just kind of like steered me away from that. But you still have like, you know, we still have productivity standards and stuff that we're supposed to try and
One thing
abide by.
about inpatient rehab specifically at the places I've been to is like they are a lot less like harpy on productivity, because you are, same with like hospitals and acute care, don't harp on you about productivity as much because you're like therapy's like built into the system. Versus if you're working for a company like us where you're contracted out,
it's all about
your
the
outpatient
productivity.
therapy, like you have to make sure you're making money to be able to sustain that practice. The hospital's not saying how is PT making money. Like that's not their
like
concern.
In the hospital setting, I'm pretty sure my productivity that they like were trying to aim therapists for was like 66%.
And like inpatient rehab, like they have like basically how it works, at least at when I was doing my clinical rotation, and then my PRN job is like we've got set schedules, and like you're with people long enough that like 9 times out of 10 you can get your documentation done while you're with them, because you're seeing them for an hour and a half, an hour like a day, you know, that's enough time to like you write something down here, you do something, you write something down there. And then like I remember at my in Cedar Rapids we had like an hour in the morning from like 8 to 9 where we'd like chart review, have like morning meeting and stuff. Like it was very like chill, like not productivity focused like at all, which was nice.
I feel like the biggest thing you need to think about when you're kind of like choosing a position and setting you want to go into is like PT and therapy in general is like just an easy burnout field. So try to find healthcare in general. Try and find a good starting point for yourself where you feel like you're going to be able to like manage and get through the day without feeling like you're drowning. And the good news is there's always, if you feel like you tried something and you think you maybe picked wrong, you can always get a different job.
Speaking of, someone said, advice for being a new grad in healthcare: confidence, establishing routine, time management, etc. My advice, and I feel like I didn't even get to really follow this advice because like my job that I chose was kind of like I went PRN first and then I found my full-time job. So like the mentorship that I feel like I got was primarily like in my PRN role, and like I just think that it's so important to find mentors who have been in the field longer than you that you can lean on and like kind of get confirmation of like, am I doing this right? Or like, what would you do? For me, actually, at my current job, because I was like the only PT on site, like I heavily leaned on my OTs and like my coda for, I shouldn't say someone just commented. I'd say that as an endearing term that they're on my team. The OT and the coda that I work with, like I was leaning on them heavily because I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. Like I don't know this setting particularly well. I don't know what the expectations are for like all of this stuff. And like, you don't know what you don't know. And so ask questions, get clarification. Hopefully there's someone more senior than you that you can lean on for learning that information.
I feel like this is something that worked for me, but it like might not work for everyone. I feel like I'm pretty good at like faking it till I make it. And what I mean by that is like it's very important to me that as much as possible, like I want to make sure patients like trust me and are not doubting like my ability to like treat them, see them safely, and like do what's best for them. But like I don't always know what's going on. Okay. So like I do the best I can with the information I have that day, maybe perhaps, and then like I take questions I have home if I feel like, because sometimes like I could, and sometimes I do like get advice from other like therapists or like get ideas from them, but sometimes like I myself just need to like kind of circle back and like look things up on my own. And like guess what, I don't have time to like do that during the workday. So every once in a while I will go home and like try and come up with some ideas, or Ciera and I usually will debrief our day a little bit, and if we have any questions or just like weird things, we're like, what do you
brainstorm?
But like that's just something that I feel like for me personally, like I just need to like think through things myself a little bit, and like guess what, I mostly cannot do that on the spot either.
I also think for like me specifically, evals were always like the scariest thing, when even like in clinical rotations and like starting as a new grad, like evaluations are just like, I don't know what I'm going to go see, like I don't know what I'm going to walk into, like it's the fear of the unknown, I think. So I feel like building up my confidence by establishing my plan for how do I go about an evaluation, like what is like my step-by-step. The more I can make it a routine, then like the less there is that can like, fall off the rails. And so you'll like develop that with like your clinical rotations, and like not every eval is going to go exactly as planned. Like there's still days where I'm just like, this was a rough one, like, but you try and like have in your head of like, this is what I would like to happen. And then you have to be flexible. That's like the art and the science of, therapy that they say. You might have an idea of what you want to do, and then it doesn't work out for whatever reason. But I think that the more you can plan ahead of time, then like the more confidence you have in, like, it's like it gets you like 90% of the way there, and then it'll fluctuate a little bit based off of how it's going. Mm-hmm. But I think preparing as best you can is very helpful. And then like once you do an eval, then like when you treat them the next day, you're like, I already know what I want to do. At least that's how I feel most of the time, I'm like, well, we already know your balance sucks. We know your strength sucks. We gotta, you can't walk.
Sometimes like in our PT school, kind of like, especially in our musculoskeletal class, like our professor kind of emphasized like you could get into like the nitty gritty of like the, what's the diagnosis I'm working with, and kind of like, and it's good to have a working diagnosis and like know the evidence-based practice stuff for that as well. But at the end of the day, if you identify deficits that a patient has and you know how to address those deficits, like that's probably a pretty good starting point. So if you know this person's leg strength sucked, specifically in these muscle groups, or this person's endurance sucks, they can only stand or walk for this far or stand for this long, or this person's, upper extremity range of motion was not symmetrical in these different planes compared to this side, and was it related to pain, was it related to like mobility, and you have tools to like address those
at least
things
on day one, and then you can further dive into more research, more game planning outside of that. But I like always got, I think, afraid of like not having answers on day one. I was like, I don't know if it's SI pain, I don't know if it's like lordosis, like I was like, I don't know. And it's like, you don't have to. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to treat it the same way anyways. So.
Alrighty. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, make sure you rate our podcast. I never know what to say at the end of the episodes. Rate us wherever you listen. And
5
if
years.
you're watching on YouTube, then you guys could like the video. Make sure you're subscribed to our channel.
And we will talk to you guys next Thursday. Bye.
Bye.